Data processing is the mental process used to analyze data. It has what we call focus units, which are used by the person to capture and observe data and photoracks, mental images, in the physical universe. The focus units work to the extent that the person is conscious and free of anomalies and false data in its database. If a person is indirectly invited to not think and believe and accepts it, the focus units turn off and the data processing is bypassed, as explained before. This explains the slowing down of people's computing speed and the automaton aspect that a person can have while studying and/or receiving data. The mass implanting perpetrated by authoritarian schools causes a large decrease in people's IQ, along with the other consequences mentioned above. We can conclude that those responsible for education make people more idiotic, or at best, they don't make them improve at all. The so-called geniuses are exceptions to the rule, or in most cases excellent parrots. It is no coincidence that geniuses like Einstein and many others went bad at school, and probably most philosophers and artists in general as well. It is well known that those who do not compromise with the social agreement are in one way or another marginalized by the masses. This is one of the consequences of the social agreement mechanism and of the mass implanting that has always been part of the machinery companies. That is, if you are a piece out of machinery, then you will be left out. In the end, what happens is that people are not taught how to study, but only how to be indoctrinated, and so the result is what you see nowadays. The fact that you agree or disagree with the ideas of Autologie towards education or study does not change the objective reality. People after a certain amount of indoctrination brainwashing become irrecoverable because their analyzer breaks along with their ability to use their own mind, which is men's most powerful weapon. A person who arrived at this stage considered to have a drawnized mind, which is the mind created by the social agreement. Analyzing some mechanics. Now, the paradox begins from the moment where people were not allowed to be. This indicates that people were not allowed to have considerations on the things that they have been taught to accept regardless of the truth. The paradox is that the consideration, in this case, would be: believe in everything that the authority figures tell us. Considerations create mechanics. Mechanics are the set of considerations that agree or do not agree to ideas and/or actions. Since in a society where the being was denied and it was said that must believe the authority, such consideration has created the mechanics of need to believe, which invalidates itself. The being creates this kind of social agreement and remains trapped in this condition, thus creating a machinery society, drawn society, where everyone has the same consideration and thus creates the same agreement and social mechanics. The fact that the masses look all the same, especially in learning, is not a case at all, but follows this authoritarian pattern of mass implanting. Invalidation of being equals you cannot be and do. Survival of the interested party equals you must do as I tell you if you want to be well. Obey to have equals if you do as I tell you will be rewarded. Punishment of the transgressor, prohibition of having equals, if you do not do as I tell you will not have. These are basically the dranistic mechanics, and as said before, the mechanics establish a society and its policies, ideals. One person is be, do and have. This is what a static, being devoid of mass, space, and time, is. Be, do, and have. The individual decides to be a pilot to do the races and have the victories or the pleasure of being and doing what he himself wants. This is the triad of life, and if you deny that, you deny the being as a whole, who in the end life itself. With authoritarian mechanics you create drawnized and machinery societies. You don't have individuals but photocopies of individuals. You have no life but slavery, and you destroy all that a capable and wise being can create. By consequence, you create a worse and less capable society. It is impossible to improve and be able if we cannot be. Indeed, you could not even call it life, a life where a human drone lives with a database full of abnormal data based on the aforementioned mechanics. It's like hypnotizing a person with a series of data and making it go automatically. This generates a loop status, which is a condition in which the person lives his life almost identically based on the data present in his database without changing routines, mindsets, and operational schemes. Skill is not created with authoritarianism. That glimmer of skill you create is mechanical and limited. Only a free person who is allowed to be can truly learn and apply things, making them his abilities. This society rewards slavery and not freedom. People have only if they obey, so in order to have you cannot be. Our capitalistic society is based on this concept. The end of many dreams follows this pattern. People, to survive better, at a material level at least, must do what they do not want, or they would not want if they were really themselves without the anomalies installed in their database. A human being is a spiritual being, since he is endowed with conscious life, which consists precisely of being do have, and a machinery society naturally denies the existence of a spiritual identity, denying what should be a human lifestyle. From then on, all that follows is a creation of drones after drones. This condition was also perpetrated in the past by religions, in different forms, but the purpose was the same: to create beings unable to think for themselves. This will be better explained further. These are precise mechanics created specifically for mind control by who knows exactly how they work. Mind control itself follows a logic. Only through alignment of logic can we create things that work. Everything that does not work is not aligned. This is an indisputable truth. So if something happens, it is not randomly, but it has been organized in some way. Autologie has only as its purpose to restore men's ability to think with his own head and to educate, or to let out the dronistic indoctrination created by the educational authorities.